Hi, ladies. Jaki Sabourin here. Welcome to my live date night coaching video, Why Men Go Hot and Cold. And today I wanted to make a video about this because one of my clients, she's so incredible, and she's also coaching for me. I like to recruit my coaches, my clients as coaches, because once they go through my program, they have all this mastery and they become very skilled at dating and relationships. And she had this great analogy, and so she shared that men come on really hot. She noticed a trend that they come on really hot so that they can save their place in line while they're deciding if you're a fit or not. And during that process, they'll decide whether or not you're a fit, and then they can end up ghosting you. And that can explain, so why men go hot and cold. Well, some of it, I'm going to shed some more light on it, my thoughts about it. But I want to make sure that you guys can post whatever you want here, and I'm doing some live coaching, so I would love to have you post your questions. So I'm just typing that into the. So yes, ladies, please. Now that you're here, I would love to have you join me with posting some questions so I can do some live coaching in the moment. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this really frustrating topic, why men go hot and cold. And what happens is they lay it on really thick in the beginning, right? They come on strong with compliments and with gifts, even with the attention, right? And maybe he's even saying that, wow, I'm really into you, or this feels so good, or he's just giving you all these words of affirmation. So you're really latching onto that and you're loving all this attention. And then all of a sudden he goes cold and he just starts to freeze you out. And you're going, what the heck just happened? I just got emotional whiplash, essentially. And it can be really frustrating and hurtful because it leaves us feeling really confused. And so let's talk about, why he pulled away to begin with, and see if we can shed some clarity in this area, because I know it's a huge frustration for women. Hi, Jill. Hi, Connie. Hi, Terry. Thank you for being here. And so one of the reasons I think that men pull away and they go hot and then they go cold, it's because it's a way for them to find out if you're into them or not. And here's what I mean by that, is because the whole drive for a man, and this is based on a little insecurity, and we all feel a little insecure when we're dating because we don't know how the other person feels about us. And so he has this drive to find out if you like him, how you feel about him. And so he comes on really strong. And then when you finally give in and you say, yeah, I really like you, or you say those things to affirm how you feel, he has now achieved his mission, his goal. And it's not even conscious. I'm not saying that they're sitting there doing this on purpose, but once he achieves his mission or goal, then I think that some insecurity could set in, like, okay, now that the reality is that we both like each other, she might think that we're in a relationship. And that is what women think. We do think that we're in a relationship. And they're not necessarily thinking that. They're just thinking, I like you and you like me. And so we always want to take it to that next level. And so that could cause a little, another insecurity for a man, and why he would pull away. It's because now when he realizes you like him, now he's like, uh-oh, maybe she thinks we're exclusive, we're in a relationship. And I have clients that make this assumption that I'm working with right now, that if he's into you and he's pursuing you, it doesn't mean that you're in an exclusive relationship unless he's asked you to be in one and you've had that distinct discussion. So it's so important to make that distinction and make sure you have that conversation. I prefer to suggest that you allow him to lead that conversation, not to suggest it, to let him initiate it. When it comes from a man, it just feels a little more balanced, and it's not you pursuing. Believe me, if a man wants to have a committed exclusive relationship with you, he's going to let you know, because he doesn't want anybody else to scoop you up, because you're amazing. And so the second thing I wanted to share with you about why men run hot and cold is that so vulnerability, is really hard for men. And when we're dating, we're all looking for some kind of stability, because there's a lot of uncertainty in relationships when you're dating, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. And so we're resistant to, men and women, to feeling vulnerable. But then we want to feel vulnerable so that we can create some more certainty. And so that can be going on too, the not wanting to risk being vulnerable, but then feeling like you need to be so that you can have more certainty in the experience. But the dating environment doesn't bring you certainty. The only way you can have real certainty is by detaching from outcomes. That's another thing I wanted to talk about today is when you experience a lot of discouragement in dating, a lot of disappointment. When a man goes hot, then he goes cold. That gets very discouraging. And the key to dating and being more deliberate and being successful is to detach from the outcomes. And so detaching from outcomes will serve you in every area of your life. Hi, Vicki. Nice to see you, honey. So detaching from outcomes not only serves you from dating, but in relationships, because you can sidestep disappointment when you detach from an outcome. And so what I mean by that is that your mind is looking for that certainty, but the mind doesn't know. The mind is just stuck in all the things that it's already experienced, the knowns in life. So when you detach from needing to know, you really invite all of the energy that you need for that detachment to germinate what could possibly happen. So what I mean by that is that when you detach from an outcome, you allow this infinite orchestration from the universal, intelligence to come in and to connect with what it is you really want and to create your manifestation for you. When we attach to an outcome, we eliminate the connection to that innate intelligence, to that source that's creating all these different possibilities, these infinite possibilities. We disconnect from the infinite possibilities because we have this rigid thinking that this is how life needs to go. And that's only one way, when there's a million other ways, but we're attached to one way. And so we get stuck, and that causes severe, massive disappointment. And you can be disappointed in your partner, you can be disappointed in the guy you're dating, disappointed in your boss. People will disappoint you because your mind has an idea of how they're supposed to be, but that's not the way it is. And so if you can detach from needing to know from the outcome and stay in the mystery and the magic of going with the flow, going with the flow is dancing in the rain mastery. You have to learn to dance in the rain and go with the flow, because we don't really know what the outcome is going to be. We never know what the outcome is. We can set things up and create situations where we hope for a possible outcome, but it doesn't mean that we're going to have that outcome. And so quickly recognizing that and putting yourself back in balance is really going to help you to stay more centered and less on that emotional roller coaster that can happen when we get really disappointed. Then we go through this energetic dip, and then we get into discouragement. And the energy of discouragement is much heavier energy than the energy of disappointment and then detachment. So as soon as you notice you're disappointed, you want to start to detach from an outcome and get back in your own lane. I like to say, get back into your own lane and don't get into the lane where you think it's all supposed to go a certain way. You get back over to, I'm going to just allow things to unfold. The art of allowing, you will stay out of that energy of disappointment. So stay in allowing. That in the energy of allowing, that's the energy that you want to be in, to allow the infinite orchestration for your manifestation. And then the third thing that I want to share with you, why men go hot and cold, that I'm going to answer some questions, is men get emotionally invested, and then as soon as they do, they get scared, just like anybody else. I feel that there's fear that comes up. Michael, I know I experienced that. As soon as I knew that we were in a committed relationship, I had all this fear come up, like fear of commitment. And oh my gosh, is he going to see me? Is he going to like what he sees when he really gets to know me? and so I think that can go both ways, this hot and cold. And maybe you don't show it as much, but certainly I think we go through this emotional investment, and then we get fear comes up when once we make an emotional investment, now we have to reconsider a whole new set of variables with that person in our life. So if men looking at you, he's starting to get emotionally invested. All of a sudden, he's starting to feel fearful. Like, are you going to do? Are his friends going to like you? Is family going to like you? the idea of living with the woman again, does that appeal to him? All of these new questions start to bubble up and cause somebody to pull back, a man to pull back. And so I just want to say hi to my ladies on YouTube and on Facebook. I've got both going live right now. Hi, Irene from Switzerland. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're on YouTube and like my page on Facebook so you never miss an episode. I haven't really been live for the last couple of weeks. I took a couple of weeks off, but I'm back and I'm excited about supporting you over the holidays. And so let me see if there's some question. So the first 6 weeks have been great. After I brought up exclusivity, he's been hot and cold for the last 3.5 months. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I don't recommend bringing it up. And what you can do is, I mean, this sounds gamey, and I hate to sound like it's a game, but it's not a game. It's the fact that if a man is not asking you to be exclusive, then he doesn't want to be, and that you should keep that in mind and maybe date other people and let him know that you're dating other people so that he can have the opportunity to ask you to be exclusive. I think that we keep dating other people until the man asks us to be exclusive, because otherwise he could be going out with other people too. And so if you don't have that kind of clarity right up front, I don't recommend just seeing him. And I know that's really hard, especially if you like a man and he hasn't asked you to be exclusive. I have a client that's in this state right now. She's been dating a man for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. This is kind of the shifting point. And he likes her and she likes him, right? And then she's out of town right now on business. And so I'm like, well, don't over contact him, because here's the thing, you guys are not exclusive, and he can have this time to, come to terms whether or not he wants to be more emotionally invested. So we'll see how that turns out. But it's a difficult place to be, because she would like to have that certainty, that relationship certainty. We're all looking for that. But the only kind of certainty you're going to find is the certainty that you can bring within. And so you want to continue to do that deep inner work so that you feel safe inside, so that you can take those emotional risks by staying open when you're dating to see what happens and allow that commitment to come forward. So if you're done, Cynthia, I recommend that you leave it with a feather, not a hammer, so you can leave that door open in case he wants to come back. And so maybe you just start dating and let him know, I'm busy tonight. I've got a date, actually. Definitely wanted you to know about it. We never really decided if we're going to be exclusive, so I decided to start to date other men. So I just wanted to be honest and forthright with you. If you do that, and just in that tone and sweet, he's going to be like, because it's a push and pull thing with hot and cold. That's what it is. So, but I would do it out of sincerity. I mean, I would do it for self-preservation. He's not saying he wants exclusive. He went cold. So I think there's his actions have already revealed to you where he's at. And so I know that's hard, but I would start dating just to kind of break up that energy and that over enmeshment with him. And it'll help you to move on much faster. Can I trust myself to be in a relationship with a guy who reminds me of an old prior abusive relationship, even though they're completely different people? I don't know. Can you? Can you, Dee? Can you trust yourself to be in a relationship? How you can trust yourself is to make sure that you notice when your mind drifts to thinking about the past. That's how you can trust yourself. You can trust that you're going to set an intention to bring awareness to when your mind's doing the comparison. The mind is notorious for making comparisons, and we want to compare our ex with the current guy. We want to see who's got what, and you know what? The wonderful thing about life and human beings is that there's only one of us. All of us are completely unique. So just recognize that. The blade of grass and the bamboo are both needed. They're both important. Both of these men are important. So I know that he was abusive, your first guy, but he's probably helped you learn some lessons on how to protect your boundaries more now. So now you can use those lessons you had with the abusive relationship and apply those with a feather in this current relationship. So stay out of comparison and just stay aware of what your mind's thinking about these relationships. And I think you'll be okay. And enjoy what's unfolding with this new guy. That sounds wonderful. And I hope that was helpful, Dee. And then we have another question. I'm meeting a man after talking on the phone a few times. He wants to meet a Dairy Queen. It seems a bit juvenile, but I don't want to judge. Is that a normal place to meet another man in his 60s? No, it's not normal. It's kind of cute though. I would go there and get one of those freeze, I don't know, super freeze drinks. Those, what, I can't remember what they're called, but they're so good. Go with the flow. I'd say sure. Maybe he's testing you. I mean, I went out with a man who asked me out. I met him at a coffee shop. He was on his bike, so I didn't see what car he drove. It didn't matter to me. But then he pulled up in his tiny little smart car, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go in a smart car. So I got in the car and went, and we had a nice date. And he asked me out again, and I said sure. So the next date, he came and he picked me up in an older Mercedes, and I'm like, cool. He's got two cars, and he's like, yeah, I decided to upgrade you. We made a little joke. The third date, he came and picked me up in a Ferrari. This is a true story. And I remember my daughter hearing the car, and because she knew I was dating at the time, this is before Michael, and my daughter is really into cars, and she knows the sound of cars. And she said, she was like, Mom, I think your date's here, but that doesn't sound like a Mercedes. It sounds like, and then she's like, sounds like a Ferrari. She runs to the window and screams, it's a Ferrari, Mom. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I don't know if that compares to the Dairy Queen, but you never know. I mean, I would go with the flow and go with it. If you have a good connection going so far, go have fun and have a shake. I mean, if you guys make a connection, then he can take you to dinner next. And if you don't, then only spend 20 or 25, 30 minutes there. Don't stay there too much, too long. Don't overstay, and chalk it up for having a good time. You have to have fun in dating, and so I kind of think that's a hoot. So I would roll with it. Honestly, if I liked the man and I had a connection with him and he's in his 60s, and I'd say sure, why not? Because it's a lot less effort than getting all your hair and makeup done and having go out to dinner and you don't even care for him. Put on some workout clothes, put on a tiny bit of makeup, go really natural. It's during the day if you're meeting at Dairy Queen, I would think, and see what he's about. Okay. You're welcome, Dee. Yay, you're going to make your next date at Dairy Queen. It's kind of fun. It sounds kind of fun. I'm looking to see if there's any more questions. No more questions here on YouTube. Let me see. I'm horrible at texting men on sites. Any advice? Yeah, get better. So we have to surrender to this modern dating, right? The dating in a digital world. We need to surrender to it because it's a powerful tool to meet men. So yes, getting good at texting is just a skill set that you can teach yourself. And so you need to Google some great texts. You need to Google some little one-liners, some great banter. And I'll give you a couple here. One of the great things to do when you first start talking with the man, if you're kind of approaching him on a dating app, you can say, what's a great guy like you doing in a place like this? That's one of my favorite ones. What's a great guy like you doing in a place like this? And a wink. And then that's kind of like most men will give a nice response to that. They'll be like, I could ask you the same, or so think clever, think witty, and Google jokes if you need to. Just asking them questions about the profile is one way to do it, but you want to get good at the playful, fun, flirty banter. And in order to do that, it just takes practice. So step out of your comfort zone, Google a whole bunch of things, copy and paste a whole document where you've got 10 cute, fun, playful, flirty banters. What are you watching on Netflix these days? That's a great question, right? I mean, what are you watching on Netflix these days? And then share something that you're watching. And so I hope that helps. Just do a little due diligence and become better at something that you're being challenged. Here's the thing I say about challenges in dating. When your challenges in dating, and you have challenges in dating, ladies, is asking for a higher level of mastery from you. So instead of getting all discouraged, like, oh, I have this dating challenge, or men are breaking up with me in text, I want you to go, okay, I'm getting broken up in a text. I need a higher level of mastery to cope with this. That's what it's asking of you. Instead of allowing yourself to get discouraged, look at it as a great opportunity to develop your skill set. I mean, that's what life's all about anyways, right? It's a journey of personal growth. And so while you're single, make the most out of it. Make the most out of this opportunity. When I was dating back before I met my first husband, you had to go down to the local bars and you hung out, wherever you could to meet men, and you really don't know much about them. It's slow going to get to know them. Fortunately, with online dating, we can ask all these questions right up front. They can ask it of us, and we can clear the beehive on Bumble really quickly by asking the right questions and keep moving forward. So I think it's a blessing. And so is it acceptable to break up with someone over text? And I'm going to say yes, but it depends. So it just depends on the situation. So I had one client who they had been kind of going out back and forth for the last 3 months. He'd take her out during the week, never on the weekends. He didn't want her to go to his house. There was a lot of red flags, right? And so when we spoke, I said, well, under this circumstance, I think it's appropriate to go ahead and break up with him on a text. So we formulated a very nice text, and it was very soft. And it was just like, hey, John, I'm rethinking meeting you on, there were some other red flags too. So I'm rethinking meeting you tomorrow night for dinner. The truth is that I'm really looking for something different. I'm looking for something more long-term. And I just noticed in our pattern, we're just sticking to weeknights, a couple of nights a week. Doesn't seem like you have a lot of time. So I just think it would be better for both of us if I'm honest and let you know that I'm feeling like we're not a match anymore. And I just wish you the best. And I've really enjoyed the time I have had with you. Take good care. And I told her to send that off. So she sent it off. And he responded right away, really positively to that. He said, you're right. I haven't made the time. I don't really have the time. It's not fair to you. And you take care as well. So that ended really good. So it just depends on what you say and how you say it. And so let's see, what else can I answer on that in terms of breaking up in a text? That's the question that I'm answering. Sometimes, no, it's not. You need to call them or even see them in person. It depends on how much time you have invested and how much if it's going to be toxic, then I would do it in a text. If it's not going to be toxic and you care about this person, you can do it on the phone or in person. But I would say I want you to care about you more. I want you to care about your feelings and how it's going to affect you more than you care about how it's going to affect him. And that may sound selfish, but so be it. I'm all about the women, and you need to be selfish. You need to put yourself first. When you put the oxygen mask on yourself, when the plane's going down, then you can help others. You cannot help others if you don't take care of yourself first, if you don't protect your boundary. If you think he's going to have a bad reaction to breaking up, then yeah, do it in a text. Why put yourself in a position to get yelled at or scolded or made to feel bad? I don't say you do that. So it's about boundaries. And so each case is different. I'm going to say with breaking up in a text. And you're going to have to play that case by case. I hope that helps. Okay, ladies, I'm hitting over 22 minutes, and I don't want to make these videos too long because they're harder to watch, the replays. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your wonderful questions. Last question. All right. Do you have a specific timetable in which you have sex for the first time in a new relationship? Yeah, really quick, I'll answer this one because it's a good question. I love when I get this question. Again, each person's different. But if you want a committed relationship, it just depends on what you want, right? If you want a committed relationship that leads to a lifetime, the longer you wait, the more chance you have to develop a friendship, an emotional connection. And once you have that emotional connection, then I highly recommend you have sex. And that's going to be tempered with, what your values are, what your beliefs are. So I really can't say an exact timeline, but I would give it at least 30 days before you're physically intimate and get to know the man and have a frank discussion with him about it. I would just let him know that you really want to get to know him better and that all roads are going to lead there, but you'd like to take your time and enroll him into your vision and see if he's willing to do that. Some men are not. And that's their prerogative, right? It's okay that they're not. That's actually would be better if they enlightened you on where they stand with that so that both parties are honest. So I just think that if you're looking for love and you want it to last, the more time you spend in the emotional connection phase, the more likely it's going to last after you have that physical intimacy. Okay, ladies, lots of love to you. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.